Greetings of peace and love, everybody. My name is Ra Imhotep. I'm broadcasting on behalf of the number 13 signs.astrology.com. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. On this particular episode, I kind of want to clear up a few things when it comes to understanding the Galactic Federation. You watch my videos, you know that I'm a person that talks a great deal about the Galactic Federation. A lot of people still don't really understand this particular organization. They don't particularly understand this unit. And this is what I'm going to try to do here today on this video, is to try to clear up a little bit of the misinformation that is out there about the Galactic Federation, to help people to get an understanding as to exactly who they are, what they are, and what they do, and what is exactly the purpose of the Galactic Federation. Now, to really understand that, the purpose of the Galactic Federation, the first thing you really want to do is you want to understand who created them. Where did they come from? Why was this organization created? At what time period in our, I guess you could say, in our universal consciousness was this Galactic Federation created? And that's what I'm going to go into today. I get a lot of emails from people that, they do a lot of research online. They research a lot of this extraterrestrial stuff. They choose to go to the internet and get on YouTube and Facebook and things like that to get their information. And people always ask me, well, where do you get your information? Like, how did you find out about all of this? And I tell them, for me, it was a simple, very simple process, but I guess complex to some because many people haven't experienced this. But I just simply went into myself. That's how it began. And from me going into myself, I realized that when I go into myself, that I can access intelligent beings that really exist in another reality, in another realm, and these beings can communicate with me through my own body. So people talk about the Illuminati, and they talk about devilish men and people being witches and devils and stuff like that. But those people that talk like that, and they talk about people that have so-called cosmic powers as being freaks of nature and demons, they don't really realize how much power is located inside of this vessel, inside of this cot, inside of this body. And you have a lot of esoteric, occult power located inside of here. You could do a lot. You have a lot of capabilities. And me, myself, I learned a lot from going into myself. And I started to have communion and started to partake in communion with the spirit and the entity that's inside of me. So you have to learn how to partake in communion with the spirit that's inside of you. You have to begin to converse with it. You have to begin to test it. In the Bible, it talks about testing the spirit. When you research the Bible or whatever, you hear about, like, the spirit needs to be tried, tested, so that it can be proven to be true. And that's exactly how it is with the spirit that's within you. When you hear that inner voice, many people hear it. Some people hear more than one inner voice. And that's a confused person, of course. But once you narrow it down and you get precise, you can get to the point where you hear that still inner voice inside of you. And when you start to listen to that voice will begin to guide you. And the more you listen to it, the more it will become alive. And it becomes a living entity that lives in you and around you. And it can pull things to you, and it can also repel things. So that was my first initiation in really understanding the Galactic Federation of Light. Now, keep in mind, before that, I had read many books, just like most people out there. I mean, I read all the different tablets where they talk about the Galactic Federation of Light and the Brotherhood of Light and the White Brotherhood. I mean, I've read a lot of different information. In the Emerald tablets, they talk a great deal about these brotherhoods or whatever. So I definitely have an understanding of it from, I guess you could say, a left-brained textbook type of understanding. But in the course of my meditations and me going within myself, I began to gain a right brain understanding of the Galactic Federation of Light. And I began to ask questions to that spirit that was within me. And when I would ask questions to that spirit, and when I would test that spirit that was within me, I would be guided to more and more clues, to more and more answers. And it seemed like once I started to believe in it, and once I started to, I guess you could say, swear my allegiance to the spirit within me and to become faithful to it, more and more information just started to come to me. So that's where I got a lot of this information from. So when you talk about understanding the Galactic Federation, whether you call it the Galactic Federation of Light or just the Galactic Federation, you want to understand where they came from, the origins of the Galactic Federation. And the Galactic Federation um, was created and basically by a group of beings that came from the darkness, that came from blackness, that came from stillness. And this particular group of beings, over a period of time, began to realize that basically they were in darkness because of their consciousness. And they began to realize that the more conscious they became, the more the darkness disappeared. Because the light shineth in the darkness, but the darkness comprehends it not. So what happens is that the more they knew and the more they start to study about themselves and what they were composed of, they begin to understand the rules and the codes of light. And over time, I don't know how long this period lasts for. This is just like the same process that a baby goes through when it comes through the portal of the black hole, or what you would call the womb. And we know that particular process lasts for 9 months. The baby stays in a state of darkness or ignorance for a period of time. And then eventually the baby comes out the dark hole or the womb and it gets initiated into the light. And the light begins to penetrate the eyes, and the baby for the first time begins to see. And when the baby begins to see, of course, the baby begins to cry. And this is because when you see for the first time and you were blind, if you were blind, somebody turned on the lights for you the first time, you seen this world for what it really is with your own two eyes, the illusionary world that is, because the world that you see with your own two eyes is not the real world. But if you see this illusionary world with, these fake eyes that are programmable, it'll make you cry too. It'll make you cry too, because this is a very scary place. It's a very tricky place that if you don't understand law, you'll never make it here. And this is, I guess, going to get into kind of like the meat of my topic of what I want to talk about today, because to really understand the Brotherhood of Light, or the Galactic Federation of Light, or whether you want to call them the Galactic Federation, you have to understand the Black Brotherhood. See, if you can't understand the Black Brotherhood, you'll never understand the Galactic Federation of Light, because the Black Brotherhood is very key, because in ignorance is where we learn our lessons. You see, you can't learn unless you don't know. If you come back here and the lights are already turned on and you're already enlightened about everything, then why are you here? What is there to know? The reason why you are enlightened about some things when you first come back here, like they call that genius. Like the reason why a child could play a piano and they never sat down in front of a piano before, but you just sit that child in front of a piano and they begin to play like they were, in a part of some symphony or something, is because of the fact that they remember and they had certain lights already programmed in them. They have certain information or knowledge already programmed in them. But then there's a set of things that this child doesn't know, that they're totally ignorant of. And really that set of information, the things that we're ignorant about, that we don't, or those particular attributes that lay dormant and latent in us, that's the reason why we came back here. We came back here to manifest those things, to learn about the things within us that we don't know. So the reason why we came back here on this plane is essentially to learn about self. Period. Everything that you experience, you're learning about yourself and how you react to certain situations. That's what life really truly is. Say, for instance, when you go to college, you're learning about how you react in an environment of learning. If you go to a strip club, yeah, I got to get extreme. Where I'm Hotep got to get extreme, because I got so many different types of followers and people that listen to the channel. So if you go to a strip club, you're learning something about yourself, because you're putting yourself in a certain environment. And it's like an experience or a test to see what comes out of you. So the Dark Brotherhood, they learned that basically this was a group of people that first you had the Light Brotherhood, or what you would call the White Brotherhood, or the Galactic Federation. All the same thing, essentially, for this particular topic. They could be different. You can get into different meanings of the left hand path, the White Brotherhood, and then the Galactic Federation versus the Galactic Federation of Light. But for the sake of this discussion, essentially all of these things deal with the same type of energy. So you had that group, and this was the group that realized that, okay, darkness is ignorance. The reason why we're even in darkness, they begin to find it out. Like, the reason why we're even in darkness is because there's a set of things that we don't know. This knowledge out there that we don't know, that we haven't been cognizant of or aware of, and light hasn't been shed on it. So what they begin to do is they begin to study, they begin to research, they begin to learn about themselves. And the more they learned about themselves, the more the lights came on. And the more they learned about themselves, they began to learn that they were victims, not really victims, but they were in submission to the law, because law governs all events. So you read about the universal laws and all of these different laws and codes that you find out in the universe that are encoded into the universe. The reason why these things exist is because particular beings took the time to go within themselves to learn about these laws and to write them down. So essentially, the Galactic Federation came from a group of beings that were studying themselves, and from that they began to create they began to document, not even create, because they didn't create them, but they began to document certain laws that they found out about from going within themselves. But over time, just like everything else, they became bored, because this went on for a long time, and they got to a point where they've totally mastered the universe, where they thought they mastered the universe as far as the known universe, meaning that they documented all the laws. So they felt like, okay, we got all the laws documented. So once you got all the laws documented, you feel like, okay, you can exist in this thing. You have it mastered. But they didn't have it mastered, because this is where the Black Brotherhood comes into play at. So then you had a group of beings that were part of the Galactic Federation of Light, or Galactic Federation, whatever you want to call it, that decided to break away. And they decided to descend from the Brotherhood of Light and the Sisterhood of Light. And they decided to become what you would call dark workers. And they became a part of the Black Brotherhood. And I'm going to explain to you what the Black Brotherhood does. I've explained this before, but I'm going to go more into it. Now, the Black Brotherhood is composed of beings they used to be in the White Brotherhood. They used to be in the Galactic Federation, and they left. They sold their birthrights over. They contracted in this particular incarnation to give their vessel over to the darkness. And they do this for power. Because people wonder, why would you give over if you got all the knowledge and wisdom and everything you need about light? Why would you want to give that over? Simple, for power purposes. This is why they do it. And they realize that since they know all of these things about light, and they've been studying all of these things about the codes of light and karma and universal law, they begin to get wise. And they realize that they can deceive people that may have been lower in rank than them, or people that were just being incarnated into this particular plane. They can deceive them and take control over them. And this story has been told a million different times. Some people call it the story of Lucifer. Some people call it the story of Satan. But yet it's still, I guess I have to still tell this story, because people, they still have questions. They're wondering where evil came from and where good came from. Who created the Galactic Federation? Who created the Black Brotherhood? So I have to go into this. So this is where you get evil from. So in the Black Brotherhood, they have a certain set of laws that they deal with, a certain type of law, and they use these laws to initiate you into their order. So you don't have to know universal law to be in the Black Brotherhood. They don't really want you to know universal law because they know it, and they use that to rule over you. You don't really necessarily have to know the rules of light or light codes and know about light or know about quantum physics and things of that nature to be in the Galactic Federation. I mean, the Black Brotherhood. You don't have to know about those things, but they do. Very important, they do. And they use those energies and the knowledge that they have to control you. They use essentially four components. They use, I'm sorry, five. Yeah, five. They use 5 components to control you. And I'll go through them. And they use to initiate you and then control you. And one of them is desire. They use desire. See, your desire feeds your willpower. When you talk about desire, like if you want a thing, desire is kind of like wanting a thing. And if you desire a thing strong enough, that feeds your willpower. Your willpower is what drives you. That's the wheel, like a wheel moving. So that's the wheel that causes you to move. So your desires is what causes you to move. They understand that because they understand the human body. So what the Black Brotherhood does is that they program certain predetermined desires within you, either through television, through outside sources usually. They program you to make you feel like, okay, I need this thing. So then that drives you, or that feeds your will, that makes you move in a direction that they want you to move. So that's always, desire is the first thing that they use to control you, because they make you feel like, they'll say, for instance, you may not be in the Black Brotherhood, and they'll say, man, it's hard being broke, ain't it? What if you could make like $1,000 every day doing this? You know, and they show you something. And that's going to feed your desire, because you're like, okay, I could use that $1,000 a day for my child, going to daycare. I can't put gas in my car. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got another child, you know what I'm saying, on the way. My children's father just lost his job. I could use that $1,000 a day. And they put it right in front of your face. So that feeds your desires. And they make you think that there is no other way. Like, if you don't take this, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. If you don't take this, it might not ever come back around again. See, that's ignorance. When they do that and they put that message in your head, so they're programming you, they put that message that nothing else will come. And even if you decide not to take the offer, you're going to still believe that. And now you become a part of their brotherhood or sisterhood without them even being over you. See, the Black Brotherhood is cold because in the Galactic Federation of Light, even when you get initiated up under certain beings, you know, you have to do certain meditations. You have to use your free will to come back to get more information, to stay in the good standings in this particular order. But it doesn't work like that with the Black Brotherhood. See, with the Black Brotherhood, you don't really have to know anything. As a matter of fact, the more you know, they still may want you. They might just want you on a different level. But they prefer you, you know what I'm saying, when you first get initiated into it, to not really know a lot. The more you know, the less of a candidate you are. And if they do make you a candidate, they'll have to get you to compromise what you know at that point. So desire is the first thing they use. Another thing they use is envy. Very key, envy. Envy is what really creates the ego. It's what creates the ego. So envy is kind of like similar to jealousy, but it's different. Envy is more like when you look at a person that has a wife and a family, and their wife may be beautiful, and you see they're happy, and you're a man. This is a man now I'm speaking of. And you see that woman, and you're like, I wish I could have that woman. I just want to sleep with her. You don't want her for your wife. You just want to put your phallus inside of her, sleep with her, because you envy that guy because of how good his woman is. You don't really want his woman. You don't want the responsibility that the guy. See, he might be with the woman and she's beautiful, but he got to beat her or smell her stinking ass breath every day. He has to look at her ugly toes. If she might have ugly toes. He has to look at her ugly toes every day. Just a lot of stuff that he has to deal with on a negative end that you don't really see. You just see how beautiful she is. You want to test it and sample it. So you envious of this person. So you go ahead and you figure out a way to get his woman, possibly if you're that deep into envy, to get his woman to be on your side, to sleep with you. So that's one example of like the ego. That's like how the ego functions. It's like you don't really like this woman, or you don't really necessarily want this business. Like you might see, this is another example. You might see a person that has a successful business. They're a construction worker. They drive around a nice car. They got nice clothes, they got a nice iPad, a few different gadgets. They come to their house, they got flat screens all over the place, gadgets all over the place. They may even possibly have somebody that comes to clean their house. Like they don't have to clean their house for them or anything. You're like, man, I envy that person. Wish I could be that person. But really, deep down inside, if you ask yourself, do you like construction? You'll say, hell no, I don't like construction. I don't want to do no damn construction. But you want that person's lifestyle, and you envy them. You put all this energy into trying to block them and destroy them, and you really just want to stop them from what they're doing. So that's one thing that the Dark Lords use, or the Black Brotherhood use. They use envy, your ego, and they play into that. Don't you want this? Don't you want to do that? They'll just show you, ask you a lot of things, offer you a lot of things, knowing that you probably are not even going to take advantage of half of the shit they're offering you. They're just trying to get your mind. They're trying to program you, essentially. They might not even make good on their offer. They're just trying to program themselves inside of your mind. So that's the envy part. Another tool they use is violence. Violence, very key here. Those particular people that are initiates in the Black Brotherhood, they have to, when it comes down to it, they may have to shed some blood. They like to see the spilling of blood. They believe that if a person doesn't submit to their will, that they have to take the power to their own hands to do something about it. So this is where violence comes into play at. In the Light Brotherhood and the White Brotherhood, we believe that you know, we believe in the laws of karma. So we believe that if a person does something to us, there's already a predetermined law set up that's going to punish that person. So we don't really bother with, you know, afflicting punishment on a person in and of our own will. But the Black Brotherhood, they have to keep control because they know that the universe is not in their favor. So they create an artificial world for a person. Remember, they program you. They create this artificial world through your desires, through your ego. And if you don't listen to your desires and your ego once you are in control, up under control of them, then they'll get violent. They may beat your ass. You know, they'll cause something to happen to you to scare you. It's all about fear. They got to, fear is the god that they use to control, period. So they got to scare you. They're like, okay, this person, we can't really get them through their desires. We can't really get them through their ego. So let's use violence. Let's beat their ass. Let's poison them. Let's do something that creates bodily harm and puts them in danger. Then maybe we can get their energy that way. So that's another tool they use to control. Another main tool they use outside of violence, envy. You know, you got all the main ones, and this is one, a biggie that they use is ignorance. You hear me talk about this all the time. You have to know the ledge. Break down the word knowledge, know, and then ledge. If you don't know the ledge and you're walking and you don't know where the ledge is at or where the cliff is at, you're just walking blindly looking around, you know what's going to happen. You're going to fall off. So they need you to be ignorant to get control over you. They don't want you to know the ledge. They don't want you to know right from wrong. See, if you don't know right from wrong, you can get a child to do wrong a lot easier than an adult because a child doesn't really know right from wrong. They don't really know. They had it programmed in their heart. Like instinctual. They're like, this doesn't seem right, but they really don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because they haven't been taught properly or whatever. They haven't been taught through their experiences yet because they're young. So, and it's the same way with a child, an adult child, because just because you're an adult, you're like, well, I'm not a child, I'm an adult. You probably still could be a child in the mind when it comes to the occult, because these particular beings that are in the Black Brotherhood, they program grown people the same way they could program a child. So they'll give you, say for instance, in college, let's use that for an example. Got a lot of people in the Black Brotherhood that go to colleges and schools and stuff. So say for instance in college, they'll teach you knowledge, because you figure when you go to college, you're going to learn, you're going to gain knowledge. Of course, you're going to gain knowledge. They're going to teach you things, but they really are programming you because they only teach you what you need to know to serve them. So that's not really knowledge. That's really ignorance. So you could teach a person into ignorance, believe it or not. Ignorance is not necessarily just not having knowledge or the lack of knowledge. It's that too. But it's actually when you study misinformation, disinformation. That's ignorant. That's dumb. It's another tool they use. So they put a lot of misinformation out there, the Black Brotherhood does. What you're going to start to find out is that it's easier to find the Black Brotherhood than it is to find the White Brotherhood. The Black Brotherhood have become masters of deception. See, they don't lie. I need to do this video on lying versus deceiving. They're deceivers. This is why they still exist, and this is why they're allowed to exist within the universal hierarchy and structure of things. This is why you have a light order and a dark order, because of the fact that they use these things, lying and scheming and cheating and stuff, but they don't do them themselves. The dark lords that control everything, they're deceivers. They put you in situations and they get other people to lie. They get other people to steal. They're manipulators of energy. They know how to put people in situations to where they become initiates and they do their bidding. They'll put you in a situation to where you do their bidding for them. And they do this through ignorance. Got to have knowledge. The more you know about the universe, I'm not just talking about a mundane knowledge. You have to have occult knowledge. The more you know about universal law, the more you know about the meaning of the number 7, the more you know about the meaning of the astrological sign of Pisces versus the meaning of the astrological sign of Cancer. So you have to know these things, because the Dark Lords, they'll use astrological knowledge to manipulate you. If you're in a time of Cancer, you're supposed to be doing things on a Cancerine level, they may try to get you to do a Leo thing during Cancer. They may try to get you to do a Scorpio thing during Cancer, and it might not be a good time for that. You see, and I know people are like, well, that's just going too far. They're not going to do all of that. Like, they don't care about no astrology. Now you're just making shit up, Ram Hotel. You don't know the depths of Satan. It says that in the Bible. You can't fathom the depths of so-called Satan. Now, I'm not religious, because, you know, I understand and will pay homage to Satan on certain levels. Don't forget that. Ram Hotel will pay homage to Satan because I understand Satan just represents power. But you still have to be able to fathom If you want to work with Satan, you have to know him, and you have to be able to fathom the depths of Satan, period. And these people, you don't know how far they will go to manipulate you. They're not going to manipulate you with the known. So yeah, they'll use astrology to manipulate you and try to push you towards get you out of the flow, or the Tao is what we call it. See, when you do things outside of the seasons, based on the astrological seasons, or whether it's the numerological seasons, when you do things outside of the seasons of the esoteric, you're putting yourself in a situation where you could be a victim to universal law, or you could become a victim of the Dark Lords, and you could become potentially one of their tools and one of their initiates, because you don't know. So this is why getting the right kind of knowledge is important. Not just knowledge, but the right kind of knowledge. Another tool, last but not least, that they use, very important tool, one of the main, that's why it's the last one, because it's probably one of the most important ones, is lust. Lust. Lewdness. They use that to manipulate you. I was talking to one of my clients, and I need to do a video on this, and she was asking me about homosexuality amongst women. And is it natural, or is it unnatural? Is it right, or is it wrong? Should she feel guilty? Is it a sin? Isn't it? And I need to do a video on this, but in astrology, you know, most people know that we teach about the natal chart, and we teach that certain things can be found in the natal chart. Certain tendencies, certain attributes are already within the natal chart. And when a person acts them out, they're just playing out energies within their natal chart. And you can play out energies constructively or destructively. So when she was asking me about homosexuality, I was explaining to her how she could basically take that energy, it's just an energy, and she could deal with it differently. Because lust, like when you deal with homosexuality on a mundane level, I'm not against what a person does in bed at all. But when you talk about lewdness and lust and things like that, this is a gateway that they use to get in. And a lot of homosexual acts can be very lustful. A lot of heterosexual acts are very lewd and lustful. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that they're very perverted. They're not really done to procreate. They're not really done to raise the kundalini for spiritual purposes. They're really just done because it just feels so damn good. And it's based on lust. And this is a gateway that they use. You'd be surprised how much lust can control a thing. Lust can control a man so easily to the point where he can give his whole check away. Just because he's a victim of lust. A construction worker may get paid $700 in a week to do construction work or whatever. But since he's a victim of lust, he's going to take a portion of that to go trick off. You know, spend a couple $100s on the hoes real quick. And he's going to take a portion, victim of lust now, he's going to take a portion of that to go feed his belly and go take out some girls. Victim of lust, and he's going to take another portion of that to go home and watch sports and things of that nature and waste money on cable and all of this. And then he's going to look up next week and wonder why he can't seem to start a business and where's all his money going and stuff like that. And this is because lust. They're controlling you through your own desires. So what I'm really getting at here is that the Black Brotherhood is really the dangerous brotherhood, and they're really the brotherhood that's the most populated brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever you want to call it. There's more people in this Black Brotherhood than there are in the Galactic Federation of Light. There's more extraterrestrials, there's more entities, believe it or not, in the Black Brotherhood. However, the Galactic Federation is a lot more powerful. Why? Because they're not violating universal law, and there's no way that darkness can overcome light. There's no way that that can happen or whatever. So when light shines, if darkness disappears, that's just the way it happens or whatever. Because when the light represents order and structure, but dark represents chaos. And I'm not knocking dark, because you guys know I'm a dark worker. I'm a light worker as well, but I'm trying to get people to see that basically we work with the darkness. We work with the darkness not so we can hurt people. Like I'm saying, like in the Galactic Federation, those particular people that are up under the order of light. We deal with the darkness so we can understand what the lessons that we need to learn, and the areas and things that we need to study so we can become more enlightened. This is what a particular person that's working with the light and dark does. But those particular people that side with the dark and that are initiated totally up under the dark, their job is to lie, to cheat, to steal, possibly even kill, to keep control, to keep the lie going. Because their goal is to take energy from people. See, they need energy to keep their thing going because their thing is not natural. It's not natural. See, anything that's natural has this internal mechanism to give itself its own energy. Just like the human body. People think that you need to eat to get energy, but you don't. You have energy that's already stored within you, and you're always basically taking in energy from the sun and just different things like that, to where you really don't need to eat to take in energy, because you have a mechanism within you that takes in energy and it gives you energy all the time. It's constantly recycling itself. So this is the natural, like when you talk about natural energy, or not the natural way of getting energy, but in the Black Brotherhood, they have a very unnatural way. They have to take energy. This is where you get the concept of a vampire from. They take energy through blood, through food, through sex, any avenue that they can get. Their goal is to take energy. Why? Because they got to keep their world going. And this happens on different levels. So you have people in the dark. Your mama could be a dark worker in the Dark Brotherhood. Your daddy could be in the Dark Brotherhood. They could be using you to keep something going that's not true, that's not natural, that's not a part of nature, but they have to keep it going. So they're like vampires. They got to keep taking, and keeping your energy going through putting you in different situations. See, this is how they do it. They got to put you in those situations, and they constantly take without giving anything back. And I mean, you got extraterrestrials that are in this thing. Like I said, you have men that are in this thing, you have women that are in this thing. The bottom line is about taking. Some extraterrestrial, they use our energy, mental energy, to harvest their world, to populate their world. The energy that you use on the internet, for instance, and you put all this energy, this mental energy, into the internet, creating social media web accounts, creating Twitter accounts, creating Facebook accounts, that you got to put pictures on it, you got to tweet, you got to do all of this stuff. But you don't realize that there's a civilization out there that's fueling themselves, an extraterrestrial civilization that's fueling themselves off of our energy that we use to put into social media and social network, and basically the mental energy that it took to create the internet. Because if you guys don't realize, the internet is nothing but a collective, basically a collective network of minds, of intelligent minds, and just different people's minds that all just came together to create this thing called the internet. And there's a group of beings out there that are using all of that information, all of the energy that we put into that. Even when we're on the computer at that particular time, believe it or not, there's a group of beings that are taking from us every time we put energy into the internet, and they're using that to fuel their world. So it's just like the concept of how you would basically essentially steal the flesh of a cow to fuel your body to eat. That's what they're doing, except they're just taking energy from our mind. And people get mad about this, like, it's not right. We're humans and they're just taking from us. But you do the same thing. You exist the same way in your world. You just take from animals and to live in this physical body, to keep that body alive. So you got to keep eating the animal. See, they live in a mental realm, so they need thoughts to keep their world alive, new ideas. And they take from those thoughts and create scenarios and situations in their world from our world. So the scenarios that we created on the internet, they basically took those scenarios and made them into simulations in their world. So you have a group of beings that's doing that. So when you start talking about the Black Brotherhood and understanding the difference between the Light Brotherhood and the Dark Brotherhood, and who's the real, I guess you could say, who came first. Like I said, really essentially we all were initiated into ignorance first. However, it was never a hierarchy of ignorance until after the Galactic Federation of Light was created. And then the rebellion took place, and this is when the Dark Brothers began to do their bidding, and things of that nature. So the only way to really overcome this thing is to totally first understand and be able to point out if someone's in the Dark Brotherhood or not. And that's the easy way to do that, is that you have to find out and understand the art of deception. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may not really even know the person that's controlling them. Like, you have different people. Basically what I'm saying is that you have different people that are in the Dark Brotherhood. Say, for instance, it might be your mother. She could be initiated into the Dark Brotherhood, or sisterhood, for that matter. And she might not know it, though. That's the funny part, because she may have a handler or someone that's controlling her and putting her into certain scenarios. So then now she's putting you into these scenarios so that she can meet her obligation with that particular person. So the first thing you want to do is that if you want to get out of control of the Black Brotherhood, is to be able to point them out. Who's in the Black Brotherhood and who's not, who's under control of the Black Brotherhood. Remember, they might not consciously know. Like, you can't just ask them, are you in the Black Brotherhood? They may not know that they're up under control. They're in your churches, they're in your universities, they're all over. They're on the internet. Some of them are teachers. You know, some of them are hustlers. You got dark people all over the world, just like you have beings of light. But remember, the dark workers outnumber the beings of light. Ignorance rules here in this matrix, and those people that know either become saviors and they free the people based off their knowledge, or you'll join the Black Brotherhood and you'll begin to enslave people based off of what you know and keeping away information from people so that certain people won't find out certain information. See, that creates negative karma if you don't constructively do it correctly, and this is what they do. They keep energy and information away from certain people and then other people get it. This is how the Dark Brotherhood rules the world. So the last thing I want to point out is that understanding the difference between the Galactic Federation of Light and the Galactic Federation. Essentially, really, it was just called the Galactic Federation, and what happened was that now you have the Dark Brotherhood. They call themselves the Galactic Federation of Light now. So you have certain beings, and then they call themselves the Galactic Federation too. So what I'm saying here is that you have to check those particular beings that organize the Federation to see if they're really initiated into it. Like if you go online and you Google Galactic Federation and you see a group of people come up saying that they're a part of the Galactic Federation, there's ways to know if they're a part of the Galactic Federation. You would have to interact with that particular person and see, are they withholding knowledge from you? Is it a game? You know, is it basically set up to where they get more than you get? You know what I'm saying? If it's set up to where they get more than you get, then they could be posing, acting like they're in the Galactic Federation of Light or the Galactic Federation, but they really could be a part of the Black Brotherhood. Because remember, the Black Brotherhood, they exist in the shadows. So you really can't, there is no way to really join the Black Brotherhood. They just piggyback off of other people's information. And they get you to initiate yourselves up under them through, basically, through studying other people's information and teaching you some of it, but not all of it. So, you want to break the spell? It's all about knowledge, controlling your desires, knowing yourself, looking within yourself, and knowing when you're being put into a virtual reality type of situation to where you're being manipulated. See, they put you in situations of virtual reality, and they manipulate you. You have to know, okay, am I in a simulation right now? It's called a simulation. And the Black Brotherhood are good at this. They'll put you in a simulation to where events are playing out and you think it's something you're doing, but really you've been put into a situation. So gain knowledge, gain wisdom, so you can overcome these Dark Lords. I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down. I hope that gave you a lot more information on this particular topic. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at the number 13, signs plural. That's astrology@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until we meet again, I'll leave you all in. Peace.